Five, four, three, two, one. So I want to say welcome to James, Lindsay, and Wise Intelligent. Again, I never knew TV, right? I want to start with a question with Brother James here. And for what I understand, you used to hoop early on in your days, right? So please tell me about your time as a hooper.
Yeah, back in the day, man, it was a while ago, but I graduated from Ben Franklin. We went to the city championship at Ben Franklin, left there, and went to a school called Delaware Valley. Had a 4-year scholarship at Delaware Valley to play basketball.
Do you believe the work ethic you had to demonstrate during that time as a basketball player transferred into your grind, I would say, as a marketing person?
Absolutely. I think sports is very good, for youth, particularly in the city, because it gives us something to focus on outside of all the other things and distractions that's going on growing up in the city, and we had a team which gave you a sense of family, which is very important for young kids as well. So, but also, in that space, you got people that, you're trying to compete with. So it definitely helps you, with your competitiveness moving forward, particularly starting your own business.
All right. Before we get into rap snacks, I understand you had a lot of experience in marketing. From what I understand, you were a senior marketing executive in Philadelphia. Can you tell me about that time, please?
Yeah, I was a senior district, marketing manager for Warner Lambert. And that's when I noticed, working with some of my people in the inner cities, I kind of looked at it and said, wow, there's some opportunities, in where I grew up at, to maybe expand on what they're doing in the snack food marketplace. And that was just from my experience of seeing what's at store level and seeing what was missing.
And how did you two brothers link up?
Wow. We met mutual associate, good brother, Tracy Bell. Actually James' frat brother. Yeah, he lives in Trenton, New Jersey, where I'm from, and he was like, yo, I introduce y'all to James, man. Y'all should meet James, and he introduced Poor Righteous Teachers to James in 96. 1996, and we've been rocking ever since.
So hold on, you officially started Rap Snacks in 1994.
Yes.
And you guys met in 1996.
Yep.
Yes.
So what was that conversation like? Because I know you had to figure out your target audience.
Right.
You had to figure out your target audience as a rapper. So did you guys have a lot of marketing conversations?
I think it was kind of organic.
Yes,
it was kind of organic and natural. Yeah. It's like getting an idea. When you get an idea, you get what somebody's doing, you get where it's going, where it's coming from, the vision. It wasn't even about, what my target market was, what Poor Righteous Teachers' target market was, or what who James was targeted with Rap Snacks. It was a viable product that made a lot of sense, and it was definitely fulfilling a need in a space where we had little to no representation. So it all made sense. It all made sense back then. I was a big fan of the chips. I like chips.
Yeah, he's a chip connoisseur, man. He loves potato chips, man. So, when you talk about, him being an artist, a great, legendary artist, he also had the love for snacking, So, but, it was good because when I met Wise, my brain is always working because, we've established a friendship, but we also established the ability to communicate, right? Which is a big thing, with people, from that look like us, man, to know how to communicate, to know who you are, what you represent, and then eventually that helps you start to articulate, more information and get into more subjects. And that's what we did. That's how our relationship started to grow from there.
And I'm kind of jumping ahead, but I want to touch it on now, and you just briefly mentioned this. How have you guys been able to maintain, because I kind of say we live in a commitmentless society now, right? No one's committed to anything, specifically relationships, nurturing relationships. Right. How have you guys managed to sustain your relationship, both as friends and business partners, for almost 3 decades?
Well, I'll jump in. First of all, I say is trust. You know what I'm saying? When you trust somebody and you believe that they have the same goal in mind as you, and I never limit Wise what he's doing. You know, everybody in this business, you know, a lot of these people are people that I knew already, or friends of mine, or I knew their families, you know, and I felt like, you know, with his background and with the community, that he eventually he would get to a point where he would be running the foundation. I already knew that already. I told Wise, I already knew that eventually was going to happen, you know. But, you know, we're selfless people, man. We don't really think about individual goals. It's all one goal, you know. And I think we've always been on one accord, you know, and supporting him and what he wanted to do, and he supported me what I wanted to do, you know. And as you know, like we're almost like not blood brothers. We're like, you know, basically have that type of relationship, you know what I mean? But it's trust, and it's respecting each other's boundaries, right? Where you can continue to grow together, you know, and not have the ego become, you know, the biggest part of the relationship.
That's it right there, the ego. You know what I mean?
Right.
We in an ecosystem, not an ego system. You know, there's a big difference. You know,
Right.
like James said, trust, man, trust is an energy.
Right.
You know, it's just good energy from the very beginning, just great energy, yo. You know what I mean? You know, so you can be vulnerable. You know what I mean? You can be vulnerable around people with good energy and trustworthy people. You know, so yeah, man, James, man, we got some history. But James know things about me, man, I'll never be public. Let's put it that way. I'll never be public. I won't rap about it.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
You know?
I don't think people understand the magnitude of what you guys been able to accomplish. Obviously, a lot of hurdles and setbacks, right? From what I understand, so you started out with $40K from friends and family.
Yes.
So how many people did you have to go to, if you remember, to get that $40K?
Man, look, I had to go through a lot of people. A lot of people said no, you know, and, you know, I was reading this quote one day when it was, you know, I was like kind of being discouraged a little bit. And, you know, they always say, you know, many are, you know, are chosen, right? I mean, called, but few are chosen, right? So I figured the people that is going to give me that money, they were chosen to give me that money, right? So eventually, you know, I was going to get the people, you know, that was going to give me the money, but have the understanding that this may take a little while. You know, I had one guy that you know, he was just different, you know, so I had to, me and him parted ways, you know, because, you know, I mean, it wasn't, you know, $40,000 is, you know, you think about it, it's a lot of money. It's starting up back then, but you know, it's not a lot of money. You know what I mean? And when I've given you your return in the first 2 years and you still complaining, then it's time for you to go one way, and it's time for me to go the other way. You know what I'm saying?
And I wanted to know, man, I know with business, especially in the food business, one of the biggest problems is that manufacturing, that distribution, and actually raising money. From what I understand now, the first flavors you launched, and please correct me, was barbecue, my honey, and back at the ranch.
Yes.
How did you link up with the companies that make the chips?
Yeah.
And how did you deal with distribution initially? Because I know you were doing the small bags only initially, right?
Yeah, I was doing small. I mean, you know, and back then I didn't really know, you know, that's because people were buying 25-cent bags of chips. Yeah. You know, but in my mind, as I start to really think about the marketing aspect of that, all those 25-cent bags of chips were really samples for people to taste my product, to become consumers, and to eventually consume it over years, right? So they can buy the bigger bags that we saw right now.
And you learned that concept from being at Johnson in regards to having lifetime customers?
Absolutely, absolutely. But, you know, here's the thing, you know, when I thought about Rap Snacks one night, and I was, you know, I was like most people that are true serial entrepreneurs. They're trying to find out what can I do? What can I do? What business can I go into to work for myself? You know, how can I feed my family at the same time? You know, and I got up that morning and I made a phone call to this company called Gibbles and Nibbles. And it was a gentleman who answered the phone. He was like, his name was Bob Forner. And he actually became my mentor in the business. He was a 65-year-old white guy. And I said, Bob, I got this great idea. You know, I want to come and I want you guys to make a product for me. It's called Rap Snacks. He said, well, Jim, I don't know what rap snacks mean, but it sounds like a good idea to me. Come see me tomorrow. Right? So when you talk about things that's supposed to happen, and that call was supposed to happen, he was supposed to answer that call, right? And when I got to Nibbles and Gibbles, you know, he was like, man, you know, I love this idea. So he helped me navigate, you know, in some of these different situations where, you know, I had to pay for the film, I had to pay for the seasoning, and I had to pay for the chips. And then I had to pay for the product being delivered, right? But he walked me through all of that. And
how was seasoning going in? How was the seasoning process going in back then? Like, what was the company you got it from?
So you had to find a seasoning company. So my research was that, you know, most of the stuff was you had a seasoning company, you have a packaging company, and you got to get all that done, and you got to send that to the chip manufacturer, and then they will price you out and give you a FOB price.
Well, what were your prices like? Because I'm pretty sure your quantity wasn't that high.
No, it wasn't that high. It wasn't that high. But the great thing about them was it was Nibbles and Gibbles at one time. It was a local manufacturer. So they had a lot of machine time. So they were like, again, the right situation at the right time. They're like, yo, we got a lot of time. Let's just find out, see how it does, James, you know? And, you know, when I was working for another company, you know, I knew all the distributors. So I went to one distributor in Philadelphia, and the first day we sold 800 cases within 1 hour.
Initially just going out
Initially, yes. When they shipped it in, they got these independent guys called the jobbers who they buy from the distributor, they buy it, and they go put it in the corner stores.
Because it was something new, and they just figured they just rolled the dice on it?
Say again?
Because it was a new product, they would just roll the dice on it.
It was a new product, but it was an innovative product. Yeah. I mean, it tastes good. You know, hip hop was just really, you know, emerging, and it was out the box.
Initially, did you put an artist on the snacks, or they just call it rap snacks?
No. I put my character called MC Potato.
MC Potato.
Yes.
Right? When did you start leveraging the relationship with Wise to get access to hip hop artists to get on the snacks?
Oh, well, I mean, that was really, as I'm saying, that was really not, you know, our relationship was the same thing. Yeah, I didn't leverage Wise for that.
Yeah.
You know, I basically went to Universal.
You actually went to a record label.
Yes.
All right, let's not jump too far.
Yes. Okay, yeah, I'm trying to get to that.
All right, cool.
Right.
So you put out the first parcel, you put out the first thing, it sells out, right? Mm-hmm. When did you start scaling and producing more?
Oh, I started scaling and producing more within a couple of years. I went with this selling in Philadelphia. I went to Baltimore and D.C. and those areas. And then I kind of realized that, you know, it was doing good, but I needed it on my back of my mind. Rap snacks need to have a rap artist on the bags.
What year was that?
Oh man, it was 94, probably 6 years later after that.
What was the first artist on the bag?
The first artist who was in the bag was Lil Wayne.
Lil Wayne.
Yes.
And you
so I went to Universal. Yeah. This is what I said. So let me skip it. Let me go. So I had a friend of mine that took me over to Universal. Yeah. And I pitched Jackie Reinhardt was vice president of marketing at the time there. And I'm like, Jackie, I told you, I spent all this money on these posters, promoting these artists, and all he's doing is taking the posters down.
Getting sued.
And all that kind of stuff. I'm like, hey, I said, you can give me the money.
Right.
You can put your artists on my bag, and you can have an intangible brand that people can touch, they can feel, they can eat, and then they can read about their bio on the back of the bag. She was like, James, I love this. You know, so they end up paying me the first year to put the artists on the bags.
Oh, so that's wild then, right?
Yes.
Yeah, because you probably go there, figure you got to pay. Now they pay you to. That's
they
crazy,
said flip
bro.
the game. I flipped the game on that.
Yeah, that's crazy, man.
You know, and so, you know, then she realized like, oh, this is kind of big. You're going to have to pay us. You know, so we kind of did it. We did another contract, and I started paying the artists.
All right. So with the Lil Wayne now, what markets were you targeting? You were doing more focusing on down south at that time, or you still doing?
You know, so when the Lil Wayne situation happened, now that gave me a bigger market, right? So I started to sell from Philadelphia down to Florida, and then in St. Louis.
How did you really like find your target audience for this product?
It was me.
Yeah.
James, I was the target audience. I was a kid who was, going and buying 25-cent bags of chips, putting it in one paper bag and shaking it up, and that's how I developed my taste buds. So I knew what I liked, and I knew it was a lot of my friends that was doing the same thing. That's all we ate sometimes. We ate it for breakfast, lunch, and dinner sometimes, man. Snacking is a big thing because it was very inexpensive at the time in the community. So 25 cents, that might be your breakfast in the morning.
No, I'm listening because I spoke to a lot of artists.
You thinking about that? He's like, it might be me too.
No, they're telling people always tell me, like, when I ask them the target audience, they usually say that it's them, and that just seems to be like when you have a specific product, you find people who are interested in what you're interested in. That's like the key
absolutely
demographic, like universally, All right, super cool.
Especially when it comes naturally, man. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? It's organic. We're the best example of how we can expand things that are going on in what we the environment we grew up in. Yeah. Nobody can pay you to do that. That's something that happened naturally to you.
And how did you start growing with the flavors now? Like, what's that process like? And the names, these tricky names with the flavors.
Yeah,
too.
So my philosophy, for having, I'm gonna tell you this is what happened really. So we're gonna speed up a little bit. During COVID, right? A lot of people couldn't make a lot of products during COVID. When you go to the stores, the shelf was empty and what have you. And that was because of the raw materials. If I'm buying packaging from a packaging company, normally it would be 4 to 6 weeks to get packaging. And it was like 20 weeks when COVID happened because they were so backed up. And they didn't have the people produce, they couldn't get raw materials. So I found a guy in Mexico where I started buying my film from, right? Frito-Lay wasn't putting out any new product. Frito-Lay, all my, Wise, all those guys, the shelves were empty. So I said, this is my time, where I'm going to put out as many flavors as I can and hit the marketplace.
What's the process of identifying flavors, though?
Oh, that's what I do, man. I got a flavor vault, man. Yes. You ain't see that when you walked in?
Yeah, that's a fact. A flavor vault.
Yeah, but we got so many flavors that we developed already. We're looking for the right time, to have it. And again, that came from me eating all these products, man, back in the day, and I naturally, understood how to make products that people like. It's like a chef going in the kitchen, but he don't have the chef title. Y'all go to a speakeasy, and you're like, man, that's the best fried chicken I ever had.
Right. Right. Yeah, it was a crazy experience. My first time going to one of the spice spots where you make the flavors out. I'm in there, these guys in there, it's just we tasting it, he getting them right. And they were astounded. These are the guys making the flavors, but they're astounded by his flavor profiles and the flavors he's coming up with. It's crazy. We was at Cherry Hill at the
Oh yeah, definitely.
Spice Steak joint. It's crazy, yo. To see these guys, these are spice scientists who make all kinds of flavors for everything. But he was blowing their mind with
I just try to challenge them, man. They try to give me all them regular flavors, sour cream, and I'm like, we don't want that. Nobody wants that, man. That's on the market right now. We want something exotic, something different, something that's going to expand the market and won't cannibalize what's out there. Because I know if I put up, sour cream and the Dabba Ranch product out there, nobody's going to say it like that, but nobody has that in the marketplace. So when somebody go buy Rap Snacks, they going for that one flavor.
The question I have is, like, has any company, obviously some company has tried to buy you out at some point?
Yeah, we've had, some conversations, but hear me this and hear this loud and clear. When you are owned by, a black businessman, right, they're going to come at you a little different, right? And we feel like also that we always feel like we got to build a company up and sell it. You know, I'm not saying I won't ever sell my company, but what I'm saying to you is I'm starting a legacy, you know, of the company that I want to buy other companies. I want to be the person that buying those companies, right? I want to be able to expand, you know, my reach outside of snack foods, you know, and you know, when they come to me, they got to come right. If not, you know, we got something good going on here, man. They're not gonna jump in this lane.
Over the years, you've had like many artists on the snacks.
Uh-huh.
I take it each artist has like a different type of deal.
Yeah.
Is there a conflict with you, why sometimes with some of the artists on the snacks being like your views on certain things?
Yeah, man, it's music.
Yeah.
You know, it's music, and you know, music resonate with everybody differently. You know, everybody, you know, have their favorites, what they like, what they don't like. You know, and then, yes, you know, I have views. Everybody know my views. You know, everybody know what I stand on.
Right.
You know,
Absolutely.
everybody know what I stand on. You know, so there's no conflict. There's no conflict because even in our era, you know, I had issues with some of the artists and what they were saying. You know, and what they were doing. You know, but it's just a view. It's a view. You know what I mean? It was my view. It was my perspective. You know, and I resonate with people differently. Just like some of the artists on the bags, you know, they resonate with people differently. You know, but at the end of the day, it's a people preference. It's a people preference and what they're into.
Like what I said, everybody got different views, man. You know what I mean? But we lean towards more of how do we make what we're doing a very overall positive view, you know? And if that person is not seeing the same thing we're seeing, hopefully eventually they'll see it. You know what I'm saying? Because we deal with a lot of these brothers, man, that, you know, like I couldn't get them on the phone. Now they want to call me every minute because
I wanted
they see
to
what we're
ask,
doing.
what's that process like? Because I know artists and their managers, more the managers than the artists, could be very tricky fighting. And like sometimes they fully don't see the benefit of working with certain people initially.
Right.
How did you get access? You told me about Lil Wayne, right? But you have like
Yeah,
all the
no.
big people
So
on there.
I co-managed Meek Mill for like 10 years.
I remember I read that.
Right.
Yeah.
So I understand how, you know, artists work, man. And I was blessed because Meek is a really good guy to work with. You know, he had this little way of doing things like a rest of artists do, you know. But, you know, I kind of understand them. I can tell them from a perspective of what they're thinking, and then I can give them from a perspective of what I'm thinking, you know. And it's all about expanding their mind to, you know, something bigger and better because you got to monetize your brand. Me and Wise always talk about that word, monetizing. You always got to monetize your brand because their lifespan, you know, is less than a football player sometimes. So they're going to be here 1 minute, you know, like Meek's been lasting 15 years. Most artists, 1 or 2 years, they, you know, I'm like, I've had 100 guys on the Rap Snacks bag and I can only name 10 now that's still around.
What makes a good music manager?
Oh, man, you know, I'm going to say the one word, patience. Yeah, you have to have patience, you know, because you got to figure it this way, man. You got a guy that, you know, came from the hood, really had nothing, and he's dealing with millions of dollars. He's dealing
Security fire.
He's dealing with fame. He's dealing with how to deal with people every day, want to get his attention, right? He's dealing with, and not even not knowing themselves first yet, right? So, you know, you have patience, but they gotta respect you. They gotta respect what you telling them is in their best interest. You know what I'm saying? And sometimes that, you know, it takes a little more patience from them because it's like showing people, you know, how, you know, to become a businessman. And they're artists. Artists, that's why you see Rick Ross, he came from an artist to a businessman. Jay-Z, artist to a businessman. Everybody don't make that leap. Because, you know, when they're, you know, gifted in a certain way, their brain sometimes don't work like, I want to do X, Y, and Z.
I'm glad you said that, man, because and no disrespect when I say this, Wise, because you one of those. I don't know how you are with the business, but I done spoke to a lot of people who are geniuses, and I try to tell people that, like, you can't hold them to a certain standard that society. Their brain does not work and function on that. When they tap deep into that genius, you're like, their brain does not work like the average human.
It doesn't.
And they're chastised for it. And you have to understand, like, their brain doesn't work. They're just too
creative.
Yes. And they struggle with daily aspects.
Yeah, I mean, you know, this is the facts. Only certain people tap into a certain part of your brain.
Facts.
You know, and as a kid, right, when you're creative, your parents can tell that you're that creative when you're young. So your mind starts to build that same way, but the other part might not be developed because that takes over a lot. When you got a creative mind, it's like becoming a business guy and not be able to sleep at night because trying to figure out what's the next thing the next day. That's the same way you can relate to that, you know. And they get by with that, but then when they made that blessed enough to become a star, now they got to deal with the business. Then they got to deal with the fans, you know. And that's why you see a lot of people, a lot of them crashing, because a lot of people aren't around them because of what they can get from them. You know, I mean, I always tell people my relationship with Meek is like a little brother relationship. So he knows that ain't the case. You know what I'm saying? But there's a lot of situations out there that's different.
A manager is not weird, but it's a tricky occupation because you put so much in the artist, and it seems like too many times when an artist reaches a certain level, they leave the manager, and it has nothing to do with the manager. It seems like too many people are getting in his ear, or he starts feeling himself a little more. So it's like a tricky investment.
Well, let me ask you a question. Why does managers get fired in baseball and all that kind of stuff?
Not producing.
Not producing, right? And sometimes it's just a change that needs to happen.
A growth.
And right. And then not only on the artist side, you know, the artist can feel like when the manager's not totally into it. You know, when he feel like he's not getting his due, you know. And then it's always the guys who are going to be able to like, oh, I like that kid, you know, and he might have more resources you do, and they're just waiting to come in and take them. You know, I've seen it happen a million times. And then it happens when that artist's not hot no more, they go back to the original manager. Because they know that guy, you know, I'm gonna put my money with you. But they like, what's my man name? When you hung the dude out in the what's it called?
Red. Red from Five Heartbeats.
Right. They're like Red in 5 Heartbeats, man. They gonna invest the money with you, but that money better come back.
Can you speak about your aspect with the foundation?
Yeah, man, you know, just developing, implementing different types of programming that appeals to young people that interest in, you know, so developing programs from the vantage point of their passions, what young people are into, you know, again, just like, you know, Rap Snacks was created based on a culture, you know, it's a cultural product, you know, that was connected to the fastest growing culture in the United States, which was hip hop music, rap music, you know, whereas the foundation is the same way. It's like we're connecting with the interest, with the point of interest, where youth are already at. You know, we're not trying to force them to eat their broccoli. You know what I mean, we're not trying to force them to do something they don't want to do. You know, so where are they at right now? We're meeting people where they are, we're meeting young people where they are, and developing them from the point of their own passions. You know, so we build programs around finance. All of you like to make money. They want to make money. You want to know how to make money. But they all have passions. They're all passionate about something. They all love this culture. So we introduce them to different career pathways in this culture. You know what I mean? You think about hip hop music, you know, Rap Snacks is a lane that nobody even thought of that's connected to hip hop culture, right? Then you have technologies that come out of hip hop culture. We have so many technologies, so many music platforms that are associated with hip hop culture. We have equipment technology. We have order-fine needles. We have Seratos. We have all of these things that we're using now from turntables and mixes. That's technological innovation. So there's many different pathways for youth to engage and be introduced to. You don't have to always be a rapper. You don't have to be the rapper. You don't have to be the producer. You might be the manager. You might have a manager's mentality. You might be able to run a record label. So you can start your own record company. You know, so just using the foundation to develop career pathways and insights for youth to see their way, have them find their way, man, a little easier than we had. You know, we're creating the programs we wish we had.
Absolutely.
We were young. You know what I mean? When we were those kids, like James said, he's his target market. With the foundation, we're the target market. You know, we're the kids that needed these type of things. So we have an idea of what youth coming from where we came from might gravitate to, you know.
How do you get through the rough times, bro? And what advice would you give people to stop quitting and get on their grind and actually stick with stuff to, because what I notice is, man, is like, what I notice with white people is that, not everyone, but those who do it fight, they stick it out to the end. They like close the deal. You get what I'm saying? Like they finish the mission. And with us, after it gets a certain level of resistance, we kind of let it go, man.
Yeah.
You know, so how have you been able to continue to go? I don't know the struggles you had.
No.
The fact you've been doing it, you had a lot of struggles.
That's a good question. Yeah, there's definitely been a lot of struggles.
Yeah.
But, you know, I always say finding your passion, man. Because when you have a passion and you have a love for what you do, those little peaks and valleys, man, you're going to stay through. You know, what these kids are doing now is what is popular. You know, that they feel like they can get to money the fastest, right? And it's not always getting to the money the fastest way. It's following your passion. You follow your passion, and if you do something every day, I tell wives this all the time, this is my thing. If we do it every day and you continue to be on your grind and you love what you're doing, eventually you're going to be successful.
That consistency, bro.
It's consistency,
Universal
man.
laws, you know?
Yeah, it's consistency. But they want it like this. They want it like, oh man, you know, I'm a rapper. You know what I mean? I want to be on top 100 song today. Man, look, I always said about Meek, one thing what he did, he outworked everybody. When they was out there in the clubs, Meek was in the studio, right? Because I saw the passion. When you see the passion in somebody, man, you got to follow.
Success equal time spent at task, you know. Stay consistent. It's the most important ingredient in success.
Yeah.
Consistency.
Yeah.
And hustle is the only controllable element. You know.
I mean, and when you hustling, man, you know, even if you got a family, man, the wife ain't gonna understand you not being there every day. You know what I'm saying? But, you know, the key of it is you gotta do you have to have a balancing act with it too. You know, you can grind, but you also, like you said, you got the real life situations happening every day, bro. You know what I mean? Them bills gotta be paid every day. You know what I'm saying? You gotta spend time with your kids or whoever your significant other is. So it's a balancing act too, man.
And how did you manage to find funding consistently to keep things going?
I didn't. You know, my initial funding was what it is. We're debt free. We never borrowed any money. You know, I felt like, you know, if I got my distributors and I got them in a situation where I was feeding them product that can sell, they can pay me in a good enough time where I can run my business. You know, so that still happens today. We have very small lines of credit. I don't really believe in that.
You mentioned earlier you wanted to branch off into
we're definitely branching off.
Are you open to speaking about that?
Oh, absolutely.
So what are some of the things you're considering and getting into?
So we're monetizing this brand whatever it makes sense. If you go into that corner store in that store and you see honey buns, you see pastries, you know, you see drinks, you see, you know, anything that we can monetize our brand that makes sense for our brand, you know, we're doing that. Cotton candy, all that stuff is coming out in September, you know, and, you know, the brand Rap Snacks is strong enough to know that when we do bring out something, it's going to taste better than what's out there in the marketplace.
And it's cool too in the sense that because you keep rebranding with younger artists, you kind of like don't age out. Not the fact that you won't age out, because in food the brand grows with people,
right?
But you have that visual connection to that younger generation, you know. Yeah. All right, that's a vibe.
But you know what? But you know, Rap Snacks is a 30-year-old company, so we got different levels to it. Like Meek says, different levels to this right here, right? So we got people that have been buying our product from 30 years ago, you know, that may be 60 now, right? Now we got the new customer. So we try to keep a balance of different artists that speaks to our whole clientele, not just the younger people, but we do have, because that's the future of our company, so we do have more younger artists.
Yeah. Then you have the product, right? You have this product, this very popular product, and then it has underlying influence, right, within this culture. So that influence is also leveraged to move into other industries. Like tech, we have apps. We have an investment app, Stock Boss Up, where you can actually learn how to invest on the platform. It's a social media app for novices in the equities market. So, you know, our community is in the equities market at like less than 2%. You know what I mean? So we showing you how to build wealth even in the stock market, and at the very minimum, you're gonna learn how the global economy works, right? So if your thing is to subvert it, you can subvert it because you're gonna have a certain level of knowledge. We have another app called InfoVote, which encourages civic engagement, tests your knowledge of civic responsibility. You know, and you can just put your zip code in the app, and every campaign, every election from the local level to the state level to the federal level comes up. Every candidate, what their platforms are, you can communicate with them. You can send out for absentee ballots, get absentee ballots on the platform, everything on the info app. These are all technologies, you know, that we've developed over time, just and using the underlying influence of Rap Snacks to push these technologies.
Yeah, and we figure that our brand is big enough where they'll trust us to give them that information. You know, we want to pass on information. We want to keep the information, you know, because we hope that we can be an example of how to build a brand, but how to stay community focused, right? And this is what we're doing. We're not just taking from the community, we're giving back information. You know, it's better, it's more, it costs, you know, information is, you know, money is one thing, but information and knowledge.
Absolutely.
I wanted to ask though now, right? You sell chips. And
Yes.
there's obviously a health crisis in the Black community.
Mm-hmm.
Do you plan on moving forward in regards to providing a more healthier option?
Absolutely. Yeah, we have this brand called Do the Right Thing.
His names.
But I'm gonna tell you a little funny story too. You know, I'm just a conscious guy about brands, right? So I hit Spike Lee on the text, right? And I said, I said, Spike, my name is James Lindsay. I own a company called Rap Snacks, and I'd like to collaborate with you on Do the Right Thing for a better for you product. You know, and he hit me back, said, no, James, I'm not, I don't want to do no snack foods, nothing like that. But the bottom line is that, when you have different categories in intellectual property, I didn't have to go and ask them that. I own that already. But it was just a respect thing that I felt like, let me just go tell them that, right?
Culture.
Right? And, again, Do the Right Thing is going to be information. It's going to be a product, but we're going to teach, our people what's in the product, what should be in it, what should be not be in it. We have this product, it's called Do the Right Thing, but it's a veggie rind. It's not a pork rind, a veggie rind. So it's made out of, we found a way to make the product out of veggies.
Yeah.
Right? A yucca.
Yucca pellet.
Yucca plant that's going to be infused with veggies.
It's good as hell too.
And it tastes good.
It tastes good
See,
as
this is
hell.
the thing about better for you. Better for you, better tastes better for you.
It tastes better.
If it don't, they're not going to eat it. I don't care how much you educate them on it.
Right.
Right? You got to find a way to make it taste good, but to have a better for you than what's out there in the marketplace.
In regards to marketing, I'm not sure. Do you do live events? Have you tried sporting events? Like, where have you tried?
Man, we've done marketing we've done everything at all, but I've come to realization that the best form of marketing really is to show our movement and what we're doing as a company in a whole. Because, everybody knows our brand. We pay the artists, and then we were doing marketing on top of that, which is dipping 2 times in your marketing budget, right? So we feel like, really, getting the information out and kind of really showing people, what we do, and what our future plans is. Because it's not just Rap Snacks. I have a whole plethora of trademarks. I own like 250 trademarks that we're going to be doing different things that's going to be under that umbrella and that tree, right? And then we're going to be buying other manufacturing facilities, that it's never been done by a Black man in his business.
And I want to ask another question, and both people chime in, because marketing has changed dramatically from the 90s till now, right?
Right.
But I notice you have a great understanding of social media and how to utilize it. Are you open to sharing some of the tactics that you use on social media?
Well, here's the thing, man. Keywords are very important on social media. So, we kind of were late to the party. Like if somebody types in Rap Snacks, one of our competitors bought the words rap snacks already. Yes. Right. But our brand is so viral that people will search again and come to us. Right. So keywords and also tap into, to your market and knowing what your market is. Right. And being exciting, man, doing things outside the box that hasn't been done. People, I see all these guys doing all this stuff, man. I'm like, that's not gonna work. It's been done before. One thing about it, a kid now watching their phone, they get bored. It's 2 millimeters of a second. I don't know if that makes sense.
Yes. It's short. It's very short.
Very short. So you got to hit them right. You got to hit them right there. Until they hit it, you got to. All right, okay. Oh, rap stacks, so they doing that. So it's instant marketing, I call it. They got to be able to be. You got to find a way to excite that membrane, bro, to be able to like, oh, I want to see some more.
And rewarding your customers.
Right, exactly.
By, sharing their posts when they tag you. That goes a long way.
Yes,
like that vibe,
absolutely.
Attention vibe, yeah.
It goes a long
Absolutely.
way. It goes a long way.
Absolutely.
And it's organic. It's real content from the user, from the end user. So at the end of the day, that'd be some very good marketing for you that you don't have to pay anything for. Just recognizing your customer support by resharing their posts.
And I go in and on some posts, I go in there and comment on that stuff.
Yeah, for sure.
You know what I mean? I always told Meek back in there, I said, never lose contact with your customer, man, with your fan base.
Absolutely.
Keep acting like you can be reached. When you feel like they feel like they can't reach you, they're gone.
That's real though. I can verify that because we all follow the Rap Snacks hashtag, right? So we see what's happening with Rap Snacks with the hashtag. And I go to post about Rap Snacks on the hashtag, and I'll be like, I'm gonna send this to James, but I see he already liked it and already commented on it. And I'm like, I don't need to send it.
Yeah, man. Yeah.
Already saw it.
I tell people, you got to stay on 2 feet, or planet, bro. You know what I mean? Because they feel like you ain't reachable, And I want to be like, I want to feel like, hey, I'm reachable. They'll ask me, can I ask you questions and that? And sometimes, I'll be too nice, and the guys they'll just go straight overboard.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? But that's the kind you get.
James is a whole mentor, man. James mentor everybody, man. Everybody get mentorship from James. You see guys, they really big. They have these really big personas, but they all sit at the feet of James and learn new ways to strategize and advance their brands, expand on what they're doing and scale. So yeah, man, this is real. James is very touchable. We do brunch with a boss here. We bring cohorts of youth here, have brunch, have the meal set up, have the chef cater for the kids, and just give them game for a whole day.
How do you expand partnerships but don't deviate from the Rap Snacks culture?
Yeah, that's a good question, man. It's really by this, looking at what we may be missing, right? And I just got a call from another guy that you probably wouldn't even think that we're talking to. We were just talking about stuff, and I've been trying to collaborate with this dude for a long time. He's like, "Oh, James, I get it," and it's really markets like even when we did the Slutty Vegan, all of our seasons are vegan seasons, right? But I felt like, and I told Pinky, it's good for Rap Snacks, it's good for you, because we get the 2 black companies get to come together and produce a brand, a product, and we got 2 popping brands within that ecosystem, and I just feel like when it's something that's good for both brands, that we can help continue to grow our brand, then I do it.
You have to educate, because what I notice, man, is people don't see value in black brands, right?
Mm-hmm.
So when you're pitching it, do you have to literally educate these people to the value of what you're doing? Or
Let me educate you on that, bro. They see the value, but what's happened is they are, they come up a certain way. They come up a certain way of buying other brands other than black brands, right? And there was a time where, when you had Food Rule, you had all that stuff. It was there. It's a cycle that comes back in, right? And it really depends on what category is high, right? It really depends. I mean, and you have a lot of black brands out here that people don't know it's black because they're trying to cross over. So they're not putting that stamp on it. They're like, oh, you know, I'm a black owner, but, you know, and they might have, you know, everybody on their board may be white. You know what I'm saying? Because this has become a more integrated country, right? Where, you know, they just don't want to be pigeonholed as, I'm just a black-owned brand, right? And the one thing, what helps us is that Rap Snacks, there's more white people that buy rap music than black kids. So that brand is always going to be, you know what I'm saying, bigger than what people thinking is because I'm black and I own Rap Snacks. It's always going to be bigger.
Yeah, follows the trajectory of rap music.
Yes, you know? Absolutely. Yeah, so that's what definitely helps us, honestly, you know. And like again, I worked at black companies. I'm the kind of guy that I love to see that, and I'm glad I was able to experience that because it helped me become who I am. And that's what we're missing.
And I really appreciate this conversation, bro, because
no problem.
Like, I really man, I find so much joy in see brothers doing their thing. And I know I do the interviews, but it's a blessing for me to speak to brilliant people in their craft all the time, you know, and I appreciate you guys.
No problem,
I appreciate
man.
the game.
Thank
you.
you.
And I appreciate even the office. We came up here for your office on the Heights, you know, you know what I'm saying? You know, and so no, I'm very grateful for your time.
No problem, man.
And,
you know, it's been a journey, bro.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
Really appreciate
if you saw the office,
you
we
know?
was in the closet when we first started.
Yeah.
You about to have to do have one chair.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But hey, you know, it's a process, bro.
Literally.
It's a process.
I really appreciate it. And I really appreciate the
No
example
problem.
because most people don't understand, like, man, like how long the road is for a lot of people.
Mm-hmm.
But for those who understand and out here doing their thing, they really appreciate it, you know?
Yeah,
Because
absolutely,
It's a
man.
respect in a sense.
Yeah,
You respect the
absolutely.
grind, you know?
And I appreciate you, bro, because you're gonna be able to show this to other people that are still trying to find their way, still trying to understand, like, how do I do what, you know, how do I complete that dream I've been thinking about? You know what I mean? Black people are the most gifted people when it comes to ideas and be able to, you know, but they don't have avenues to be able to execute them, right? So doing something like this is going to be like, okay, well, James did it like this. Okay, they did it like that. So they'll probably give him some more ammunition to be able to say, oh, you know what? I can do it too. When I was sitting next to Mr. Johnson in that meeting, I'm looking at that brother like, oh, I can do it too. He did it. I can do it too. It's a reference point.
I always say that information, the segregation of information and the segregation of access is like the biggest problem we don't discuss. Because like my pops had a business and like I saw it. You know what I'm saying? I touched it. I saw it.
Right.
And I saw him struggle.
Right.
So I understand what can be done.
Right.
And if you don't really see it, it's kind of tricky sometimes, man. Because when that doubt kicks in, you don't know. But when you see it, you know, like,
there's no reference point.
There's no reference point.
There's no reference point, bro. There's no reference point. And if when people that get the reference point, they're able to get to that point and figure out how to get past it. You know what I mean? You saw your dad with the business, and your mind's like, oh, I saw my dad struggle a little bit. You know what I mean? Now, how do I do my thing and take his lessons of struggling? You know, and
like you know it could get done.
Right,
You know what I'm saying?
exactly.
You know in your mind it could get done. You know?
Exactly. But everybody got to start somewhere, man. It's no struggle. It's no success without struggle. You know what I'm saying? And that's to keep you said keep going. That's what keep it going, man. And be smart. You know what I'm saying?